Mori ora e te whānau. Welcome back to episode 2 of the 99Dreams podcast. I'm Rawiri, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. We got Jayden Waiwiri here in the Tari, live in the 99Dreams Tari today. Jada, what's good? Welcome, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Kia ora, my bro. Thanks for having me. It's a very honour to be here, to be honest. Myself, this is a first for me, and I hope to have an interesting podcast and some real good knowledge for everyone, and just some interesting kōrero.
Oh, brotherhood, no doubt. I guarantee this guy's got some fire waiting to be released. So, guys, without getting too deep into the convo straight away, let's just figure out who J-Dub is, or Jayden Waiwiri, who he is, where he's from, and just get into it, bro. Whereabouts are you from, man?
Yeah, cheers, bro. I'll start with my pepeha, I think. That's a very good way to make a connection with anyone listening. So, ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Waitara te awa, ko Tokomaru te waka, ko Owai te marae, ko Tiatiawa te iwi, ko Waiwiri tōku whānau, ko Michael tōku papa, ko Cranley tōku mama, ko Jayden tōku ingoa. So, my name is Jayden Waiwiri. I'm 31 years old. I come from the great Waitara. Born and raised here. I lived here most of my life until making a move when I was about 21 to go not too far from here to New Plymouth. But I've always had an amazing upbringing here in Waitara, and the community here has just always been supportive and always been as one, especially when I was growing up. It's just one of those places that if you're part of it, you really know. And if you're not part of it, you wish you were. But I grew up on a Demet Street where my mum and dad still are, and my mum's been there for her whole life, actually. So my papa actually built that whare, and now my mum's still there. She for probably the rest of her days, I think. She won't be leaving anytime soon. But Demet Street was my stomping ground. We had a lot of whānau on that street, a lot of connections there that I still have today. It was just one of those places that you knew everyone, and hopefully it's still like that now. But it's always been that place that you call home when you get around there by those freezing works. You know you're home, right next door to the car park, and most of the Waitara community's probably been to their freezing works as well at some point or another, especially these days now. But yeah, it's always been the place close to my heart, Waitara. I always represent when I can. Where else can I go from there? So my mum and dad have been together since my mum was 14. They met at school and have always been together now. They're married. They were married when I was 9, and I was privileged enough to be part of that marriage as well during that day, and seeing that. They taught me a lot about relationships, really. How to deal with them, because growing up, they had a lot of stuff there that I witnessed. It was not always positive. Dad was into his league days, his league, in the Waitara Bears. That was every weekend, living that rugby league lifestyle. But what comes with that, it was a lot of the other side of things with the alcohol and the partying, and they'd always end up back at home. So I saw a lot of that sort of stuff growing up. With that comes the negative things too that we need to talk about some days. Wasn't always the best. Seeing mum and dad fight when they were drinking and always drunk, and I was always in the other room with a few other kids probably, and it was never a good end to the night. So that really sculpted a lot of things for me as I grew up. A lot of things to be wary of. And probably a lot of things that I've still yet to challenge myself with, especially with the drinking and healthy relationships as well. That's a very big thing for myself, especially now after a lot of experience in that field, I guess, having long relationships and what's healthy and what isn't. Anything else? So for myself now, I work in the iwi space. I provide pastoral care for rangatahi on our work development program, which is based around environmental conservation and forestry. And I provide that pastoral care for those rangatahi on the program, which is an amazing job. I I'm really fortunate to be in this position. I was kind of headhunted from my last position as well. Before that, I was in the YMCA, helping youth justice offenders get back on track on a Cisco program, and there was they gave me a lot of skills in that rangatahi space, and I'm really fortunate to have gained those. But my working life has been kind of all over the show because I never really knew what I wanted to do, as a lot of us do growing up, and it's a big question that everyone kind of gets, eh?
Yeah, 100%. No one really knows what we want to do, and if you say you do, probably lying. Like, I think I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a doctor. Uh, I wanted to be a whole bunch of things, but what I didn't want to be. That's the one thing I knew what I didn't want to be, and that's stuck in that cycle that you briefly touched on. So one thing I think I would like to dive a little deeper in is how did that, um, growing up around parties as a young child really influence how you are today?
So, growing up, I never really wanted to touch alcohol. Um, I, at a young age, I said, "Oh, I'm never going to drink." I saw what it does to people, and I never wanted to. And that lasted till I was about 15, 16. High school, you go to parties, and that just goes from one thing to another, and you end up trying things as you do as a young person. And that was just how it was. And I think nowadays I've gone through a lot of that side of life, through all my 20s, and the drinking and the drugs and all that stuff that comes with life. And now that I have a big whānau too, which we can dive into later, because that's a whole nother korero there, there's a lot more responsibility, and you can't really go through life keep on going that way. But no, I don't really want to be that person that's continuously drinking every weekend. It just doesn't help, especially with responsibilities that I have in my life that can really have that as a bad thing to come out of it.
Yeah, no, it is tough. Growing up in those spaces and around those spaces, everyone kind of says, "Oh, it was just the thing." It was just the thing back then. But now times have changed, and I think a lot more of us who grew up through those times are more aware of those kind of situations, and we're consciously trying to make the effort to be the change that we wanted to see. So how did you implement it at your previous mahi that helped you land where you are today?
So with my last role at the YMCA, I picked it up after taking a year off from working in Countdown. I worked in Countdown for a good 7 years, in the meat manager role, or before there was a meat supervisor. So just in that retail space, that was my first real adult job, I guess you could say. And by the 7th year, I had a chance with my partner now. She said, "Oh, if you're over it, take that time off, find something else that you like. We can support you." And I really took that chance with two hands, and took some time off. It was about a year actually, which I was quite lucky to have. I had some money saved up to be able to support my whānau as well and myself. And from there, I found just on Trade Me, just some something on Trade Me saying youth worker. I thought, man, that looks interesting actually. I didn't know what it was. I followed the link to that and put my CV in, and I got a call up not too long after that, and started an interview process with the YMCA. And they really, from what I experience now, it's pretty hard to really put a label on what a youth worker is. It can be so many different things, so many hats that you can wear at one time. And from there, I spent a lot of time working with our youth justice offenders, trying to get them back on track. You do 20 weeks, try and implement some changes, some life skills, trying to get them on the straight and narrow, or trying to find them onto further education or whatever that may look like. To be honest, it wasn't long enough, because there's at that point a lot of stuff to unpack there that will take longer than 20 weeks. So really, it should be implemented at a younger age before it gets to that point. But a lot of our rangatahi fall through those cracks, and they just don't have the chance or the actual. There's a lot of barriers in place for them, and from there I did that for a good almost 3 years. This role with Tupu Anuku, which is the mahi I'm in now with Te Kahui Maru, one of our local iwis with the Ngāti Maru whānau there. I got approached to this pastoral care role, and I absolutely love it. It's just another chance to really help change people's lives or young people's lives, our rangatahi, our future, to really get rid of those barriers they may have to get into mahi, into getting some life skills again. There could be just getting their learner's license, which is a big thing at the moment, licensing, which is a big milestone for a lot of our rangatahi. It's a first real chance for them to be adults, to have some independence, and then just also providing that care and just actually knowing that there's someone there that cares for them, just at a drop of a hat, a message just to say, hey, I need some help, and I can be there for them. And I find that's really in tune with my personality as well. I find I'm a real good provider. I feel that I am, especially with my whānau. So it's really good to be able to place that in my mahi as well.
Wicked. That you can already hear the passion throughout that whole corridor there. It's great to see it. I always say this. He does amazing mahi whānau, and shout out to the Ngāti Maru whānau. Amazing. One thing I was going to ask is, have you ever thought about doing any type of academic study? Because this could be a wicked kaupapa for postgraduate research and stuff like that, just listening to you talk about that there.
Yeah. That is something that I can do through mahi as well. A lot of personal development they apply for us, if whatever route we want to take. I did do some study with the YMCA, which I'm trying to continue now. The only thing I find myself is, with schoolwork and any kind of work, I really didn't apply myself in high school. I found that was quite my downfall, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do as well. Like I've mentioned earlier, we all have those feelings of, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be a builder, I want to be whatever. When we're young, because it's easy to say what you want to be when you're that age, but by the time you get to high school, a lot of pressure is on you, especially when I was younger. The pressure of what are you going to be for the rest of your life, and I feel that is a huge question that a lot of people still have to answer. Even in you could be in your 50s and still not know what you want to do, and that's fine. As long as you find something you enjoy, I feel is what it's worth. That's really what should be the question. What do you enjoy, and how do we get you paid for it? That's just what I think, and that's what I try and implement in my mahi, is giving our rangatahi the many options as they can to figure out what it is. Give it a try. Don't like it? Cool, let's try something else. Don't like that? Cool, what is it you want to try? And just naturally trying to figure it out that way, because they don't really know what it is until they dive in there, or have some idea what it is, some work experience there, or just take into employers and see what they do, because you never know what it is that you're into. And I feel that our generation really had a lot of pressure when we were at high school to figure that out on the spot. And if you mucked around and had to do fifth form again at sixth form, or they call it year 12, you're always chasing your tail again. Fortunate for myself, I stuck around till year 13, seventh form. First one's in my whānau to do so, and I also managed to be head boy as well at Waitara High School, and that was a massive push for me to really figure out what I wanted to do. It gave me a lot of skills and confidence as well, and I feel there was a real pivotal moment for myself when I was growing up to have some responsibility, sort of figure out what is the future, because it's about time to really dive into it and figure that out. But then your life takes over once you leave school. It's the real world, and I just had to get some money to live your life. I was in a very toxic relationship for about 7 years, and that was that's really defined me now, or gave me a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more clarity on what I want in my life. It's all part of the journey, and I feel like that really helped me in the way in the end to really figure out what I do want in my life.
Why do you think that affected you so much, being in their toxic relationship, and like how did that inform a lot of your decisions when looking for a healthy relationship?
Yeah, that's something I had to really understand from the outside. I had to leave that place to figure out that it wasn't for me. I really had to make a big decision at the time to get away from it, to look from the outside. And a lot of people were telling me these things, but you get, blinded by what you're into. Um, it's taught me a lot about what is healthy and what is expected, and it's taught me how to love myself first and foremost, to look after myself, to be able to love someone else as well, but also to know that I need to be looked after as well. I can't be the one always doing the hard work. I guess it should be a two-way street. It never should be a one-way street with that sort of thing. So 7 years of that to where I am now, it's just, you got to go through some lows to really find that next high in your life, that roller coaster we call life. And it really sculpted my personality while I was in it. I really didn't know who I was at the time. There's a lot of arguments, a lot of fighting, a lot of that sort of stuff, and it wasn't healthy. And to where I am now in the relationship, I'm absolutely lucky to have who I have in my life now, and it's just amplified by how much love that I receive now as well, because I was just giving that love and not really receiving it in the same way, I guess you could say. That's how I felt, and I don't know how it looked, but that doesn't really matter at that time. And where I am now, it's just beautiful. We've got our own whare now. We've built a whare together with her sister as well. That's just been a huge journey for our whānau of 10. 7 kids, 3 adults, ranging, the kids range from 1.5 through to 16, 17. And it's just all ages and stages, man. And that right there is just a huge, huge part of my life. And I really pride myself on my whānau, as we all should.
And you have an amazing whānau that's there, bro. It just radiates off of you. You can see it, you can feel it. What's it like having such a supportive whānau around you like that? How is that important to what you get up to now?
I mean, there's so many different emotions that happen with a big whānau like that. Like I said, ages and stages. You got teenagers going through their teenage years. You've got your babies going through their baby years. You've got the 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old area as well, which is a whole nother ball game. So we're all doing all at once. And it's just, you just do it day by day, really. You got to take it on the chin, and you sort of, you just try and keep the love going. And, there's a lot of arguments that happen, as kids do, a lot of things they don't want to do around the house, because you gotta act as a team when it's something like that. I was always trying to instill that in the kids, is that we're a team. First off, we're whānau first off, but we're a team here as well. And we've got to get things done to keep our lives going. But I think I really know that these kids are really good kids in the end. They've always been good kids. We try and just instill our values into them, and we just hope that they become good people in the end. That's all we're trying to tell them, is that we just want you to be good people, and just be those good people we know you can be. And it's just a crazy crazy journey that we're having. Just going off, my stepson Jakan, he's 16, and he's going through a lot of things. He's just left school, and he's got a part-time job that he's had for a year now already. So he's doing a lot of responsible things, and he's got a lot of friends, which is always good to see. He's recently going for a breakup, and we're going through all that sort of stuff too. My stepdaughter Kiara, 13 years old, going on 16. That's some crazy time. Girls are so much harder. But she's just so beautiful, and I think she accepted me faster than her mother did. when I come on the scene. She is just a beautiful soul, and I'm really lucky to have both of those children in my lives. They've taught me a lot of things to be able to put onto my two little ones now. We also have my partner's sister Danny, her three kids as well. We've got Jacob, who's 13, going on, he's 13. He's just finding himself, figuring out what he likes and what he doesn't like, and yeah, it's just he's crack up himself. We've got Jasmine next. She's 11, and man, she's a beautiful soul too. She's our little whinger of the family, but she's the most cleanest out of all of them. But she's such a beautiful young girl too, and I think she's going to go a lot very far in her life. We also have Noah next. He's 9, and he's a whole nother ball game, man. He just brings a whole nother level to our whānau, and he's just that tutu kid that you got to tell every day to stop swinging on the chair, to help out with this. Yeah, but he's beautiful in himself too. He's just got to find himself and figure out how to be a team, like I said earlier. And from there, we have my two kids as well, Kasten, who's 3, and Keanu, who's 1.5. And man, they're just going through all of that. And we just know what to expect coming up next for all those stages. So I really think those kids are really giving us a good idea on what's coming up next for our little ones at the moment. They'll probably look back and say, "Oh, you spoil those kids more than we did, with us." But that's just how it is in life. We improve, we keep improving. We always make sure we improve in our life. But yeah, that's just a little rundown of our whānau. And now that we've moved into our new whare, and that's been 1.5 years in the making of building through COVID time as well. And that was, there's a whole kōrero there too.
Yeah, I guess. Well, before we dive into the being a homeowner through COVID, what advice would you have for any parents out there who are coming into a whānau that already exists, as well as people who are just starting out their own whānau and they got their first kid and they're not too sure what to do? What advice would you have for them?
Really, it's okay to get angry. It's okay to feel like it's not working. It's okay to feel all those negative feelings that come with it. But the thing is that there's something beautiful because of it. You have this beautiful child or children that they come into your life. They may be yours, they may be someone else's. But the thing I always try and remember is that I'm there as much as they are there for me. Like I said before, they've given me so much in my own life, as well as I've given them a lot as well. But I look at it in a way that what they've given me is super special, and they probably don't know that now. Hopefully they understand that when they're a bit older, that they've really given me a lot of lessons about myself, how to deal with like all those feelings that come up with being stressed as an adult, as well as being stressed from in a family point of view. But it's just something you got to work through, and it's just something that is very beautiful throughout all that negative stuff that you may think of at the time, because I know it can be hard with those little babies too that are crying through the night, waking up every couple hours, and you're thinking, man, why did we do this? But it's just it's just still a beautiful thing in the end. You just see these little ones grow into the bigger ones, and then those bigger ones becoming adults. And I can really see that in my whānau now with each stage that we have. It's just happening so fast too. You've got to remember that they're only little for one time, and they get older, and then they get even older, and it just flies by in the end. And you just got to remember to take it easy, take it day by day. That's really my best advice, is just take it day by day and just fill your own cups too. You can't fill those other cups around you if your cup that you have isn't full. And by finding your own thing that gets you, your own passion, whatever that may be. Myself is my jiu-jitsu. That really helps me ground myself, helps me with my any anxieties I have, any kind of bullshit through the day, all that sort of stuff really helps me filter that through, I guess, and makes me a better person when I get home. So really finding time for yourself really helps as well, if you can manage to do so.
Modiora, brother, that's some amazing advice right there, whānau. So if you are just starting a whānau or you're already in one, take it easy, take some time, And another thing I kind of picked up is just to take it in. You know, those moments don't last forever, so take it in. Now, as you previously said, you're a new homeowner, you built your own home, you own some land, so mile to getting land back. How was that whole process? What was it like?
To begin with, it was pretty straightforward. Like, we decided that we wanted to be independent and, you know, start paying our own mortgage off rather than someone else's with the rent side of things. And we realized that having 3 incomes in the house can really help with that. And that's probably the only way we could have to begin with, especially with our previous jobs, the previous mahi from all of us. We've all moved on to something better now. From then on, like finding somewhere that will help you, like with Platinum Homes is who we went with. They were really amazing. They got our plans and what we could do. You know, then you got to go through the bank and see what you can borrow and all that sort of stuff too, all that stuff there. From there, the hard part was finding where we wanted to be and what would fit us. Because like I said, big whānau, we need to figure out something that suits us rather than trying to find something that will, you know, we could try and suit for ourselves. But we wanted to build first off because we couldn't really find anything around that would suit us and what would be functional. So we really went on to looking for land, and that took the longest time, was really trying to find somewhere that was affordable, fit our lives at the moment. And we're quite lucky to actually find that after, man, how long was it? It was probably about a year until we actually found some land that we wanted to, this is probably perfect for us. We'll see how this goes. So we started that process, all the bank side of stuff, lawyers. It's huge, man. You don't really realize until how much is into it until you get into it. And now we have that experience now, but just going through the lawyers, all the fees that come with it too. You don't really understand that having 30 minutes of a lawyer's time can be so much. From then, you know, then it was the building process, and the building process took us, like I said, a year and a half to really get into where we are now. And during COVID times, there was a lot of hold-ups, a lot of price increases. Platinum Homes really committed to getting us in there, and they said that they were going to get us in there at this price that they gave us, and they didn't put any of those extra prices on us when it did come to that time, which we're real thankful for. But yeah, at the start, people were like, "Oh, it's so stressful building a house." And at that time, I was like, "No, we're just cruising. We're just doing our normal day-to-day life." And I was like, "What are they talking about?" You know. And my partner was doing a lot of stuff, a lot of the forms and stuff for us, so she had a little bit of stress there. But it wasn't really until we got to the moving in, when is this going to happen? We didn't really have a date on when we were going to be in. It would just keep getting pushed back, which we understand is just part of the game. And once we did figure it out, I think it was a Wednesday, we had a hui in our new whare, and they said you can move it on Friday, and we're like, wow, okay, where's this come from? At that time, my baby was in hospital with some skin condition and stuff, and so there was a lot of stress going on there. He was in there for a week, and then we're moving as well, moving 10 of us, and trying to clean the other house too to make sure that the next person in there is sufficient for them. And then the whole move process, and you were part of that too, bro. And I really thank you for that. All the hands on deck for that one, getting everyone over in there, getting everything sorted, and that's where the stress really comes from. Is that sort of end of the line? You're almost there. You don't know if it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but it just popped up for us, and we really got in there and had to have a lot of help from our whānau around us and our friends, which we've always been, we always appreciate, and we know that we can rely on people like that too. So that leaning on those people around us really helped us, because we couldn't do it ourselves, and that's where that stress came from, was that. And then actually getting in the house and making it yours too, which took some time to get used to. We had no curtains when we got in there the first night. We slept on the floor on our mattresses. Had nothing like that. We didn't have internet for a good 2 months, and right then and there was just a whole lot of changes that we had to adapt to around us. And then we're slowly making it ours, though, which I finally see now that we're making it our whare, we're making it ours, making the land around us ours as well. and that takes some time. I think it takes the land some time to get used to us as well. The whenua itself got to get used to those. There's this new tribe that has come along and stuck their po in the ground and making it theirs. But yeah, it's been beautiful, and it's something I never thought I would be able to do, was to build my own whare, to build our own whare for our family. So I'm just absolutely blessed in that aspect. I think all our family feels the same way. Even though the kids didn't enjoy the no internet for 2 months, it was, can you hotspot me? Can you give me some data? And we're on the phone trying to figure out what's going on. Where's the internet? What's happening? But that's just that's just the process, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. It sounds like it's been a roller coaster of a journey the whole way through it. So I guess speaking on that roller coaster of a journey, would you do it again? Are you going to expand and continue to head down that property owning?
Yeah, so that's one thing we discussed pretty much when we first started this, was what's going to happen next. Really, this isn't going to be our forever home. We want this to be the stepping stone onto the next whare that we want to build. So, my partner realistically thinks we're probably, 8 years maybe, 8 to 10 years. She reckons 5, but I don't know about that one. But we want to do it again. And then eventually, with that next place that we go to, do 2 dwellings, so that me and Sam can have our whare, and then Danny can have her whare, and we're still part of the same tribe though, but we've got our own spaces. That's kind of the dream in the end, going off the first dream of actually owning a home in this economy, and building one, in fact. But we want to do it again, definitely, and go from there to be able to give both of our whānaus their own space eventually. But by that time, hopefully, we've got a few kids gone out of the house, so it's a little bit easier.
Bro, I don't think so. If they know you're going to buy another house, I'm staying. I'll stay in this one. You had the new one. Oh, no. Awesome. And you previously said a little bit earlier that you use jiu-jitsu as your escape place, as your peace of mind. How important is it to have your own thing? And
So 100%, you got to have your own outlet, really. I think is the best word to describe it. Your own outlet. It's, it can be part of your whānau, it can be whatever it is that makes you happy, really, and using that to help you get through life, really. That's how I explain it. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu I actually found because of you, my bro. You know that. I was at a point in my life where I really needed to find something that I enjoyed, and at the time I was into UFC and really enjoyed the ground stuff there, and I approached you because I knew that you were doing that for once upon a time, and I got the details from you about Southern Tribes in Motoroa, and from then on I came along to, I think it was a Friday session, which was a MMA session, first one, and I got kicked in the head, and I thought, man, this is awesome. So that was really the start of something beautiful. I stayed because of the MMA, and then I was like, yeah, this is cool, and then got invited to stick around for jiu-jitsu, and that's when really the passion stuck. I really saw something quite amazing, because I would be paired up with this smaller guy than me, and he was just mopping the floor with me. He'd get on my back and he'd be making me tap, and I was getting choked out by this smaller guy than me. I was like, what's going on? And which is really great, because it just really deflates that ego, because you just can't lie on the mat. Say it really shows. If you got any bullshit there, it shows it on the mat, bro. And I really have to thank you for that, bro, and for showing me and guiding me to that place, because that's really been a backbone for me in my life, throughout all the roller coasters we talked about earlier, from that relationship to just childhood trauma and all that sort of stuff that came from there. Really, just your life, the life stresses that can just be all taken away when someone's trying to choke you out. You don't really know, worrying about what's happened during the day, when you got to worry about the person in front of you and being in the now, really. So that was back in 2014, I think, early 2014. So it's almost been, nearly 9 years, 10 years. I received my black belt in March. So that right there was just a huge mental thing for me as well, to be realizing that I'm at this level that I never thought I'd be at as well. I think the most time I've ever had off the mats was, a couple of months when my babies were born. And now really I'm just trying to find balance between it all. Balance between jiu-jitsu and, I instruct there, the kids classes, the adult classes are really, really part of that culture there, but also trying to balance it with my home life, my work life, and anything else like that too. Just trying to make the balancing act work.
And with jiu-jitsu, I need to get back into it. Look at me, I look like a ball of Play-Doh. But with jiu-jitsu, I find that it's such a beautiful sport. It's so artistic in the sense that you've got to know not everything, but you've got to at least have an understanding of where you are in your own head and your own waitara before you step onto the mat. Do you have any experiences where that's played a huge part in what you do on the mats?
Yeah, I definitely. Like I said, you could have the stresses from the day or the week or whatever's on your mind, and that affects you. The first hardest part is getting through those doors. Sometimes that's the mental part, is getting there to deal with that adversity, and it really should build up a lot of resilience when you do go through those doors for the first time, and then continuing that is the hard part, because you get this new passion that you're really into, but it's one of those things that's a lifelong journey rather than just a short time to really, my coach Pinner Simpson has just been a huge name in Aotearoa for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He spent a lot of time really pushing that around the country. So a lot of places really have to thank him and a few others to really bring that into the country first of all, and to make it what it is today, because it's a very popular martial art these days, not just with the popularity of UFC and everything like that, but MMA and that, but just in the country itself, it's just been huge. There's competitions all the time now. There's heaps of gyms, even in New Plymouth. There's some heaps of gyms there, and just around the country too. And there's a lot of experience in the country here as well, which is what couldn't have happened without someone like him. So we really got to give our dues to him as well, because he's one of those people that you really that know everyone in the game too. So he's just that kind of person. From there, as like I said, I'm black belt now, but they say it just starts from there. You start again at black belt. It's like a white belt that just stuck around too long. You find what works for you, and then you start to delve into the other side of things, and then that's just a whole nother game there. First of all, you're white belt, you're just surviving. You're really just trying to survive. You're trying to not get choked out, not trying to get your arm broken, or And then blue belt's the same. You got these white belts behind you trying to take you out, and then you got the purple belts in front of you taking you out too. So you're still trying to survive in a sense, but you've stuck around long enough to know what to do. And then you got your purple belt where you really just refine. You found what your game is, what you tend to do. Brown belt, you're just really refining that game that you've built along this time that you've put on the mat. And then when you get to black, it just starts all over again. Really, you just like you see, you stuck around too long. But it's just been a great outlet for myself. And now that with my whānau too, a lot of them have taken on jiu-jitsu in their lives. The little ones have too. The older ones were there as well, and they're finding balance in their life too. And hopefully they come back and we'll always be there for them. That's the main thing, that they know that the mats will always be there when they're ready to come back. And I think it gives a lot of confidence in yourself, going through those sort of any kind of martial art. I feel is got its own weight in gold, and whatever that is it all has its place. And I think that it's a lot of mental game first off. Like I said, getting through those doors is the hard part, and then staying on the mat is the hard part too. But then all that sort of stuff comes along when you stick around long enough.
And yeah, Pinner Simpson, he's another Waitara legend. That club, Southern Tribes, is amazing. They've done so much for so many people, myself included. Before I went to university, I did go there. I was a lot leaner back then. Used to play guard. I'm probably a top player now. I don't think I'm pulling guard anytime soon. But no, those the way you describe the belts and the level system there reminds me very much of university. You got the white belts nipping at the heels. The blue belt become the white belts, sorry, undergrads nipping at the heels of the blue belts, who are your honors and PG dip students. And they're just trying to survive. And then once they sort of get closer to that purple belt, that's your master's students. And then they're sort of nipping at the heels of the purples and the master's students. And the master's students are kind of like, they have a pukinga now, and they have an understanding of what research is like, that they can defeat those below them, or, they can not defeat them, because you don't really defeat people in research, but you have an understanding of writing, and you have an understanding of research now, that you can really start putting those skills into practice, and you can start putting things together that really make sense. And then brown belt is your PhD level, that's really, really well done. And then once you go past that, then that's kind of you're a professor, associate professor, or that's where you do your postdocs in the black belt and stuff like that. So there's a lot of relatability there. But before we move on to the next, do you just want to give a shout out to Southern Tribes, and what times and where's the locations?
Oh, awesome. So for myself, I'm at Southern Tribes on Laurie Street in Motorua. We also have another in Waiwakaio here in New Plymouth as well, with Sam and Gary. Another amazing gym there as well. For our Motorua gang, we go Monday, Wednesdays for our fundamentals class at 5:30 onwards, and then we also have advanced class after that. Fridays, we usually have a sub-grappling and MMA as well, so MMA is a big part of our club as well. The Waiwakaio crew operate at the same time too, Mondays, Wednesdays, usually the same time as well, 5:30 onwards. If you've got any tamariki as well, we also have tamariki classes. For ourselves is on a Monday and a Friday. Mondays 4 o'clock for our 5 to 7 year olds, 4:35 onwards for our 8 to 13 or so. Same on a Friday too. So the best thing I think as well is for our tamariki. It really instills a lot of resilience in our kids. You get these kids that are just starting out, real timid, not too sure what to do. Having someone on top of them is not really normal. The few maybe a year into it, and they've just got some massive confidence in their lives, not just on the mat as well. The best ones are the ones that you think aren't listening. You're trying to teach them, and you think they're not listening, and you're like, man, are these kids actually getting it? And then when it comes down to our comp time or our in-house time, we usually have an in-house competition with our Ohawi whānau down in South Taranaki, with our Southern Tribe whānau down there too. But you just see them excel, and they actually do the techniques that you've been trying to teach them for the last term or two. And it just shows that it's in there. A lot of kids are just naturally into it, and there's the ones that aren't. But they all find their way in that, and that's what you have to do. But I think it's real beautiful for our kids to have something like that for them, both that physical, having physical challenges in front of them, but it's also, like we see, the mental challenge too. But it just instills a lot of good values in them as well. Not let alone trying to be fit and healthy, which is always a big thing, but also just having to deal with the problem in front of you. Having to deal with it and not go around it. You have to go through it or over it, under it, if depending which way it is. And it all depends on the problem in front of you, and that's what you have to deal with at the time. But I think it's a beautiful time. So if you have any tamariki that want to get into it or have an interest in it, just find your local gym. If it's us, cool. If it's not, that's fine. The best thing is that jiu-jitsu is for everyone, and it's made for everyone. There's never a right or wrong answer with jiu-jitsu. It's whatever you write in your book.
Bro, jiu-jitsu really is for everyone. I had some old dude, I can't remember his name, but he was a geezer. He choked me out with my own belt. Like, have you ever been disgraced so bad where you get choked? He took my belt off of me. He didn't choke me with his belt. He choked me with mine, wrapped it around my wrist, my neck, and then pulled it. And I was choking myself out. I had to tap out. That's humiliating, man. So it really is. E for everyone. Head along. If you can't find anything, Google it. Google's your best friend. Bro, you got in the ring, right?
Once.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience in the ring and the processes you had to go through leading up?
Yeah, definitely. I've had one one MMA fight. I was scheduled for a couple more, but life happens, eh? So my first one was back in 2017. We did about good 6 months of training for it because a lot of it was getting pushed back. I'd have a opponent that maybe drop out or there's an injury, that sort of stuff happens. Trying to match up to someone that's at the same level as me or around that same level of being in the ring. But the hardest part is the prep. That's where all the hard work goes, is in that fight camp, however long that may be. Ours just happened to be 6 months. But having the team around you too, they say it's an individual martial art or an individual sport, but really it's a team sport, really. You can't do the trainings without extra bodies, without those people around you can trust too, that aren't going to injure you, that can be on that journey with you, even though they may not be fighting. They have to be there to be able to get you on the next level, which is probably that 6 months was probably the fittest I've ever been, and I really needed it at that time. I really did. Just got out of that relationship. I got into my relationship now with my partner, and it was something that I really needed in my life. But it was the hardest part is that prep, that training camp. There's a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of blood, a lot of sparring, a lot of everything. But just that you just need it to be able to, train hard but fight easy. I fought in Auckland at the ABA Stadium, which is usually a boxing stadium, sorry. And that experience right there was huge. But the main thing was being prepped for it. I faced the guy Stanley from Auckland. He was a bit older than me, but he was a tough opponent. Got in the hard part is the few days beforehand we travelled up to Auckland, got into a hotel or Airbnb or whatever it was, and I just remember that the day before just staying in the hotel room, not doing anything else, just chilling out, trying to get in the zone, man. But I was just shitting myself. It's those nerves, like mental game again. It was huge, and I remember just resting the day beforehand, weighing in the night beforehand, weighing in, just sort of scoping out the opponents and doing your weigh-ins, your face-offs and stuff like that. And right then I was nervous as hell as well, being in front of all these people, doing my weigh-ins, and then standing in front of this person that we're going to go to war with, right in front of you. And there's nothing but love for that sort of level. You may see it on UFC where it's a lot of shit talk and a lot of trash talk, but I find it's not about that. It's it's all love in the end. I remember, so on the fight night, I think we got there at 5:00 in the afternoon, and I think my fight wasn't until 10:00 or something like that. It was crazy. We're sitting in the changing rooms, just waiting, and trying to get into the zone, and you would go to the toilet every hour because all the nerves are coming on. But then I just remember, at the ABA, it's a real short walk-in, so you don't really, you go up the steps, go around the corner of the ring, and then you're in there. So it's not very long walk. But I just remember hearing the song I picked at the time going off and just trying to zone into that, getting into the ring, have a feel out, and then just starting. That bell rings, and it's just adrenaline dump, man. I just remember just being completely tired, just having a massive adrenaline dump, and I was like, what do I do with this person in front of me? And he was a big guy too, and he was throwing. And I just remember it only lasted one round, but I remember he hit me once right on my ear and just rung my bell, and that really woke me up. And I just remember just got to start to swing, and then I breathed, okay, bring it back in. We sort of felt each other out again, and then I just remember him pushing him into the ropes, leading with my left, hitting with my right, leading with my left again, and just throwing this big right hand right into this perfect spot in his jaw, and he just dropped. And from there, I just remember going in, and then I just getting pushed by the ref to stop. And then I just had this massive emotion. I hit the ground, I screamed, I could hear, even though I was in Auckland, we had this really good support crew there too from Namotu and Waitara as well. Just going to the corner and just going into my coach's arms and just trying to relax again, trying to bring all that realm of two back into the realm of rongo. But yeah, it's just a huge experience, man, and I just really wish I had a couple more before I started having some children, because right then and there is, like I said, a balancing act too. I was training a lot for that, and I know I can't do that with little ones in my family, or even just my family in general, because they need my time more than anything right now. But I hope to get back into it again one day soon, once my kids are old enough to not have dad around every night. But that'll come, and that's not something I'm too worried about right now. But I have had the chance to support our tribe that I have fought on other cards as well. My bro Johnson, he fought on the same card as me that night too. It was his first one. He got the win as well. He went the distance though, and he's just a warrior. He was a warrior. He also had a few more fights after that, and I got to be there on his side in the ring with him, next to him, and just give him that support too. And right then and there, like I said, it's a team sport in the end. You need your team to be there for you, to be in your corner, to look out for you. So yeah, that's just what it is with the MMA game. You need your team around you.
One of the biggest recurring themes throughout this whole conversation has been having a team or having a whānau unit. How does one sort of get into a space where they just happen to keep finding themselves in a different kind of whānau unit? Because you've got Southern Tribes, that's a whānau unit. You have your actual whānau, that's a whānau unit. Then you've got some good friends and stuff that are also considered as a whānau unit. How do you sort of navigate those spaces, and how do you know which one's the right one for you?
I find that really, what does it bring to you? So with like jiu-jitsu, we found that it's a common thing. There's a common space that we're there for. You have people that come from all different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different religious thoughts, everything like that. They all come together for this common ground. And if it's positive, that's really what I see it as. If it's positive, then it's something that you can have in your life. If you're there for the wrong reasons, then really, what are we doing it for? With my whānau, that's I think that's more lucky than anything to be able to have that on my back. Meeting my beautiful partner and the whānau she brought to me was just something that you can't really, you just find, I guess, if you're lucky enough. I know I consider myself lucky with that. That's just beautiful, and this just has my heart there. You just surround yourself with people that have like-minded values as you as well, and that's how I navigate it, and just trying to find the balance between it all too. Again, and that's just probably a big thing with this, is life is just one big balancing act with everything around you, whether that be your personal life, your work life, your hobbies, your passions, just finding the balance between it all, and what that looks like, it's up to you. It's part of the journey. That's how I feel.
Me. That's solid advice right there. So this whole kaupapa is called 99 Dreams. This is the 99 Dreams podcast. What were some of your dreams and aspirations growing up? So you talked about what did you want to be, but now let's try and talk about what did you dream about becoming, and what were some of your dreams?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. When I was younger, I wanted, when I was in primary school, I wanted to be a builder, stuff like that, and nothing really too serious. It's just, something that you kind of have when you're younger. But when I was about in high school, I had a real massive passion for basketball. I thought I wanted to go far in there. That was a dream of mine, to be a basketball player. Having people like Aaron Noel, Auntie. He was a good mentor for me when I was growing up with basketball. He was just, he put a lot of time into our Waitara team and our whānau there. So he was someone I really looked up to in that aspect. But that dream is not for everyone. As I got older, I think I got really into music, into DJing and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time figuring that side out, and I thought, I want to be a massive international DJ and create music and all that sort of stuff. And that just wasn't for me in the end. But that's just how I've learnt. Those all give different lessons in life. Now, I think more realistically, dream-wise, I just want to make sure that my family's provided for. Really, that's a huge dream. just to make sure that financially they're sound, health-wise they're sound, they've got everything they need, and just dream that they're good people. I think that's really my dream now as an adult, and I think that's more of a realistic dream, I guess, from having dreams in the past that went really too realistic, I guess. But that's what a dream is, right? You dream big, and right now I just think it's just something I want to make sure that my whānau's looked after, even if I may be gone, that they're looked after and they have everything they need in their life. That's a huge dream of mine. And I think that'll be a dream that continues to keep growing. I hope to never achieve that, so it's always getting better. So I think that's a dream of mine, really, just to make sure that my whānau is safe and provided for, even if I'm gone.
That's such an amazing dream to have, to be able to fulfill that. I feel like that must be every parent's dream, to be able to make sure that their tamariki are safe no matter what happens. And so I guess, going off of that, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, maybe we'll go with 16-year-old you. What would you tell 16-year-old you?
Yeah, what would I tell myself? I think really think about yourself a little bit. Be a little bit selfish. It's okay to be selfish at that age. I've always been huge into, with my immediate family, my mum and dad, and my aunties and uncles around me, my cousins. I grew up, I was the only child, so I didn't have any brothers and sisters, but I grew up with my cousins who were around the same age, the Partingtons. They really grounded me in that aspect. I may have been a little bit spoiled as a kid, but they really grounded me in that aspect. I had to share with my cousins. I was always over their house. I was looked after by them a lot. So looking back at 16-year-old self, I think I would have told him to really look at your options around you. Like we sort of delved in earlier, never knew what I wanted to do, but I really wish I had applied myself to look what was around me. I said, have a look at this, try this out, just keep trying, try this, try that, try this. Not saying that the journey I have was bad now, but it would have just given me some insight to try new things, try different things when I was younger, rather than trying it when I'm older and catching up, like we talked about earlier. So yeah, I think that's probably the main thing I'd tell him was, don't get stagnant. Keep trying, keep moving forward, keep paddling that waka somewhere. Wherever that may be, you might find something great.
Bro, 100%. It's always, hindsight, but it's always great to reflect on, looking back and just things, if you could in an ideal world, do differently, or how would that shape who you are today. And I guess those lessons, that's who we are now. So going on a similar path to that, in the future, when you come back and look at this, what would you like to say to your future self, and then have something to reflect on?
That is a very good question. I'd probably say, are we doing it right? Are we keeping to our kaupapa that we are now about providing, looking after ourselves first of all? Have you filled your cups before you filled everyone else's? Because I've really had to, I've learned a lot with my past mahi to look after myself, because I was really draining myself trying to work this mahi out. But I've really had to look at myself and again try to fill my cup every time. And am I keep on doing that? Am I that person still? I just hope that and which in turn makes me a better person for the people around me. I just hope that I keep on that same kaupapa as I'm older, and hopefully he's that same person.
And do you have any advice for your future self?
Yeah, I can't say. I'm just going to go off the top of my head here. Just keep on keeping on, bro. No, I think I'm not too sure about that one, bro.
Okay, the point. That's okay. I guess the next question then, which was going to come off of that, is what was a moment in your life that's really impacted your life the most? So what was just one of those events that just really made a huge impact? It could be positive, it could be a negative, just whatever.
I would say it's probably a a few things, mostly to do with whānau again, was losing a lot of my whānau, you know. Biggest one for me when I was younger, when I was about 14, was losing my cousin David. You know, he was in the army. He was training to be a driver and was in an accident and lost his life. And I think that really was a huge, huge impact for me, especially at that age. He was like my brother, my big brother. Like I said before, I spent a lot of time with that whānau. You know, they looked after me when mum was at work, mum and dad's at work. I'd go there, come back before school and after school. So losing David was huge, you know, and there was a time there that we were losing a person in our whānau once every February, March, you know, that sort of happened. Started off with a great uncle, and then it went to my nanny, my great auntie. I used to call her nanny. So losing those people really had a huge impact on me, I think, and I think that's why I try and stay so close to the whānau I have now, which has really impacted me. Yeah, so losing David was huge. My papa after that, Uncle Kent, losing him as well. So losing those loved ones around me really impacted me, and I actually tribute them on myself, on my skin, on my tattoos and stuff like that to remember them and to create kōrero around them when everyone asks. So they're always with me. I've got one here for Uncle Kent. I've got one here for David. I've got one here for my nanny. I've got one here for my papa. I've got one here for my great uncle, you know. So if you're on this left arm, you probably passed away. But I think that's probably some of the biggest impactful things in my life. And you could say it's negative, but it's something we have to go through as people. We have to go through that side to get on that other side. So I was quite not used to it. I don't think it was the word. I was quite I had some experience with losing people, and I think that had the biggest impact on me in my life, and sort of made me who I am today.
Hard, and loss is something that we all go through, but it's difficult every time. I don't even think you really can get used to it.
No.
I think you can get accustomed to it, but I don't think you could ever get used to it. But as they say, it is a part of life, you know. I guess a question is, you know, how do you manage that? You know, how do you, like you said, you've got tattoos on your arm to keep their memory alive. You know, what other things do you do to celebrate their life?
Lean on the whānau I have around me, really. The ones that are still here, the ones that knew them as well. Like with my Paddington whānau, we still get together every year, that time of year when he did pass away, or was close to his birthday as well. We make sure that we spend time remembering them. You know, we've got to remember those ones behind us, our tupuna, all that sort of stuff. We have to come back to them at some point. But having it in a positive way, not always being in a negative, and it takes time. Like someone told me, there's no time limit on grief. Whether if you're having struggles with that, and it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. But really surround yourself with people that feel what you're feeling, have that common ground, and go from there. And that can be real beautiful in a sense. That's what's really helped me, is leaning on my whānau, leaning on those ones that were close to them as well. So we can remember them together, and we're not doing it alone. Because that's probably one of the hardest things, to do it by yourself. You know, it's one of the hardest things in life, and to do it by yourself is just incredible if you can. But in saying that, it's nothing wrong with leaning on those ones around you, and that's really helped me open up as a person as well. I can be quite emotional as well as sometimes, but we need to normalize that as well. We need to normalize people opening up, especially our males, our young males as well. I'd rather have you call on me than me having to go to your tangi or your funeral. You know, that's really what it should be about, and making that normal. And it's only just getting realised now that that's something that we need to instill in our young men, especially in Aotearoa, because that number there is it's not right, and there needs to be something done, for our young males to be able to get through that sort of stuff. And that's one thing I love about my mahi too, that I do now, is I can be that support person for those young people that may not have it at home, that may not have it around them, and saying that, it's just, that's probably the thing there.
And so, yeah, whānau, 100%. It's okay not to be okay, and definitely reach out whenever you need anything. Even if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not feeling good, don't drop a comment below. Send us a DM. You got Instagram. My email's on the website, so send it through. 100%. We're here to help. We don't like seeing anyone go through struggle, and it is a lot harder for tāne, for males to get that off their chest. It's, especially here in Aotearoa, it's so much, bro, what are you up to? Get over it. Yeah, act like a real man. Be a real man. Stand up for yourself. That ain't, all that shit blows over. You're all good. You're all good, eh? It's a real staunch attitude here in Aotearoa. How have you been able to sort of change that within your own whānau? Because it's hard to do it at the community level and out there in te ao, but I guess starting at least within your own whānau, and then they'll be able to help others in time. So yeah, how would you be able to?
So with like our children, we always try to make sure that we're always open and honest with them. To make sure that they can come to us with anything at all, and that's really helped our teenagers. I think is the best time where that should be applied. Or even earlier on, to create that as a habit, I guess. But to have that when they're older, to be able to come to you to say what they're going through. Like I said, my son has gone for a breakup, and he comes straight to his mum and us to get that support. And I think right then and there is just, and it's a skill really to be able to do that, to be able to open up to the ones closest to you. So that's probably one thing we do as me and my partner, and also her sister, is making sure that our kids are free to speak, to make sure that we're open to whatever they may be going through, especially our teenagers who are going through a lot of different stresses in life that we may not know about and may not really understand right now, but having it so that they have a place to be able to do it safely and with no judgments, just being there for them. And I think that's really where to start, especially if you have a young whānau, is to just be open and honest about everything, a lot of things. There's some things that you may need to wait till they're a bit older, which is just normal, but having it so that they can express themselves to you and not being afraid or not hiding things from you. And that's one thing that we do really well, I think, is making sure that they have that space.
I mean, and that's 100% it, eh? Just listening and letting them know that they're heard, and being ready to accept that when it comes, and not being so quick to, oh, well, you should have did this, or you should have did that, because a lot of times it's hard enough for them to come up and be open and create that space for dialect to be shared. So you guys are setting the benchmark, man. Oh heck, man, this has been an awesome kōrero. I'm conscious of the time, so
I mean, we could be here all day.
exactly. And whānau, this isn't the last you'll see of J-Dub either. I'm vlogging our next basketball game on Tuesday. You're gonna see how trash I am.
We are.
I think there's only like one decent player on our team.
Oh. And that changes every week.
Yeah. So, bro, do you have anything you'd like to say before you leave?
So, yeah, like I said, we've talked a lot of points today, and some of it's just scratching the surface. But the biggest thing is, like we just touched on before, is that kōrero around opening up to those around you, those ones that you can feel trusted with. I think if we leave anything today, is just to make sure that we have each other's back, whoever that may be, those ones that you trust. And yeah, I think that's the positive kōrero there, just to take from here. We've gone through all my life, a lot of parts of my life, I should say, and what's really turned to the person who I am today. But there's all lessons there for everyone to take away if you feel the same way. And we can always go into it another time. That's always an option. We can just go into certain subjects that we've talked about and go delve into further than that. But yeah, just making sure that we have open kōrero there.
Nah, awesome. And like you just said, whānau, if you guys want to see a little bit more of J-Dub, let us know down in the comments below. It doesn't matter when you start listening to this, whether you're listening to it when it drops or whether you're late to the party and you're jumping on a few years down the track. It doesn't matter. If you want to hear a little bit more, we'll make sure to get him back. But it's not the last you'll see of him. You'll definitely see him around in the vlogs. I'm bringing this on Saturday. So, yeah, so the podcast is where we're going to keep things a little bit more serious, and the vlogs where we can do a little bit more fun. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you coming onto the podcast today, sharing your thoughts and your whakaaro with us. Truly blessed and privileged to have you come on, bro. My first guest, my second podcast. So, yeah, truly, so thankful that you're here, man.
Nā mihi, my bro. It's good learning for both of us, eh? So it's just getting up and to do something like this is out of my comfort zone, you know. And I'm really open to trying new things like this, and you know, just to show those around us that it's okay to try something new, you know. And that's really, if you're not good at talking, that's okay. We can get it out of you somehow. But cheers, bro. No, thank you for having me. I enjoyed this. It was really good. I really enjoyed this, bro. And thank you for having this forum here for us to be able to kōrero and document it too. Yeah. Cheers, my bro.
Oh, bro, always, the door's always going to be open. Likewise to anyone else wanting to jump on the 99Dreams podcast with me, Rawiri, you're more than welcome. Let me know. Again, hit me up with the DMs. You can go find my website, and then my email address will be on there, so you can hit me up there. I'm always available, always keen to have new guests come on. So if you're interested, head over and join us on live. But here's an opportunity, because this is going to be documented and your kids can come and hear this later on. So would you like to say anything to them when they're old enough to maybe watch this back one day?
Go easy on me, please. Don't be all cringy like you do all the time, eh, Kiara? No, but it's always nothing but love, eh? That's the main thing. That we've always loved we always love our kids, and everything we do is for them, is for you guys. From having the house to making you do chores all the time, you know, all this stuff. We're just trying to make you good people, and hopefully you're a good person, and we'll go from there.
Well, Mori ora whānau, thanks for sticking around. Tune in next time. We'll have some more guests and some more fun. Thanks again to Jayden Waiwiri, aka J-Dub, for coming on the show. Take care, everybody. Ka kite.